This is the FM Gold channel of All India Radio. In the program News Analysis, now we bring you a discussion on high gold price. The participants are Professor Yamini Agarwal, Indian Institute of Finance, and Aditi Phandis, economic journalist.
Internationally, gold prices have been going up consistently. This has been a secular trend since at least the beginning of this week and maybe even earlier. This is partly because of the signal sent by the US Fed that the central bank may take additional measures to boost the US economy, and this is generally having its effect across the world. In India, gold has touched apparently an all-time high. It's gone beyond 31,000 rupees per 10 grams and continues to be on the up and up. Every day gaining, almost never losing, except for one day in between when it fell about 70 rupees per 10 grams. Dr. Agarwal, what do you think is the reason behind this, and why is gold the most sought after commodity today?
Gold is most sought after commodity in times when there is inflation in the market. So when you look at the market, especially India, there are inflationary trends that are there. So real estate and gold becomes very good assets for investment. Now, since the real estate market is not giving good returns, it automatically switches over to gold. We also need to see how does the demand for gold usually arise. Like you had rightly pointed out that the US is giving signals to the central bank. Now there are two prime consumers to the gold. One is the central banks or the other commercial banks, and the second is the individuals. Now the gold price rise is not usually happening because of the central banks purchasing gold. The dollar is itself strong right now, so they have necessary reserves of dollar and other currencies to support them. Gold is not what they're purchasing at the moment. The demand is primarily arising on account of certain individuals who are converting most of their money, which is the black money, into this asset, which is a more liquid asset. Now, because of this reason, the gold has been seeing a prime rise in its prices.
There are a number of other reasons why gold prices are rising in India. They are following and mimicking the Western markets, but I think India is the biggest consumer of gold in the world. In India, gold has always traditionally been seen as an asset which actually outranks all other kinds of instruments of savings. It is also seen as something which even the smallest of families keep as a fallback for a rainy day. Now, supposing all the gold in India were to be converted into rupees, how much do you think it would add up to?
It's difficult to estimate that, but it is believed that only imports, if we take into consideration, it's about 969 tons that we import. We are one of the largest importers of gold itself. You very correctly pointed out that we have cultural reasons for demanding gold, like you have the festival season which is coming, the wedding season that is there. Then you have certain beliefs, and there are certain days on which people purchase. Let's say the Akshaya Tritiya day in May, the Dhanteras day in Diwali. Then for the protection of the girl child or for other purposes, everybody buys gold. Now, these cultural reasons right now are absent, to be very honest. There are no festivities which are taking place. Now such reasons can be observed. What can be actually observed is that there are prices which are going up. And since there is no individual demand or central bank demand, then where is the demand really coming from? Now, one, I said, because of inflationary trends, most people would like to make an investment in gold. The second reason can be that people might like to speculate. If you look at the gold future positions, they have been indicating that the gold prices will be going up. The scarcity of the gold is pretty much there. We are importing a large portion of our own gold. Among the imports, after crude, gold is being imported because of our needs. So scarcity of gold is one of the reasons. Then another important reason which most people don't identify is that the entire gold in the market is provided by an organized group. Now that organized group, I would not say acts as a cartel, but does not want the gold prices to ever come down, despite the fact even if there is not sufficient demand. So this organized group, futures trading, then inflation are some of these reasons. Another important reason is that the government was planning to bring about a tax on the gold in the month of March, which it would draw back in the month of May. Now, if it does that, then the purchases of gold automatically become more transparent. Now, during this period, automatically people who want to buy gold or convert their black money into the liquid asset, it becomes an easy option for them. So for them, the rise from 30,000 to 31,000 or another rise does not make a difference. So this is one of the prime reasons which I believe why the gold is rising.
You had mentioned that currently gold is the most attractive investment among all the other ways of investment. Why is it that no other instrument of investment appears attractive now? Because gold is just something, it's a notional investment. It's just something that you lock up and put away and never put to any good use. So why is it that other investments are not yielding the kind of returns that they should?
Gold is a very unproductive investment for anybody to make. But the truth is that when you talk about the returns on the gold, or in terms of its liquidity or its acceptability, it is still higher than any other asset. Let's say, what are the assets available? You have real estate which is available. Real estate markets are already facing a down area. There's a huge amount of slump there. The financial markets, the equity markets or the debt markets are not promising sufficient returns. So where does the investor really go? He actually ends up buying metals like silver and gold. So that's the choice where he's left. Another thing, where is this investment coming from? Right now there's a recessionary trend which is there in the world as well as in India. We are not observing a good growth rate. We're expecting a growth rate of about 5% to 6%, or a maximum which we would like to achieve is 7%. Job markets are not very great. Incomes are not very great. So where is this really money coming from? This money is coming from, not from the incomes of the real consumers, but this is the money which is there in the other individual's hand. So that is again what we need to observe. So that is why the metal is actually gaining a strength.
Could the depreciation of the rupee versus the dollar have some bearing on the price of gold as it goes up?
Yes, it does, because a lot of our imports are actually in the form of gold. So it does have a bearing in terms of the cost of the imports that we are talking about. But again, the depreciation, when the rupee was depreciating to a larger extent, then it was still okay to assume that that would be the real cause. But now it is largely stable. It is not depreciating at the same rate as it was depreciating earlier. So to believe that it has got converted into the gold prices would be wrong. Yes, it does have an effect on the input cost, and that too gets translated, but not completely right now.
What is the trend that you see in gold futures? Are they going to continue to... Because futures is a way of price discovery. So what does the futures market tell us about what the trend in gold is going to be in coming months?
When we look at the futures market in commodities where there is scarcity is not considered a very good option, because it does not really lead to price discovery. But it also reflects a certain amount of speculation in that commodity. So when we talk about gold, which is scarce in our country, which we are importing about a huge percentage, automatically the futures market is not a clear-cut reflection of the prices. If you look at the different kind of connotations that are coming about the future, it has been expected that the imports are likely to reduce down, and nearby we are expecting to have the festival season coming up. So most people, there's kind of a condition, or let's say an environment being created that there's going to be a scarcity of gold and a price rise. So there might be a panic among people to purchase gold. So that also can lead to an increase in the prices of gold, even in the futures market and in the real market. So futures market is not a very good market for gold per se.
There is a relatively new kind of trading option that has been given to people, which is the possibility of trading in the gold market without actually holding that gold physically. How does this work? What is the economics of this?
So this is a normal system of short selling. You don't have the commodity and you actually can sell and make certain profits on that. That there is nothing specific economics, but it's a small trading rule which we apply, where people can actually go in the market, make investments, go about making certain speculation and earn certain gains if they're correct in their estimates. As far as gold is concerned, just like other commodities like stocks or silver or any other, this particular commodity can also be traded. So it does not have a specific effect, but yes, because it's a tradable commodity, if there is an environment where people believe that there's going to be more scarcity and they might need it in near future, it would only lead to a price rise.
And internationally, what is the trend that we are seeing in regard to gold?
So internationally, most people were buying gold when the dollar was weak or when the euro was going in a crisis position. Right now, there is stability in both the markets. As far as the US dollar is concerned, it has been able to pick up against most of the currencies. If you look at euro, since there was a huge amount of scare, or let's say fear about Greece going out and the euro region failing out and the euro going down, again, most of the central banks wanted to invest in a safer option. If it was not dollar, then it was gold automatically. Presently, that position is not there. Presently, there is no such uncertainty. Even most of the other prices have been stable. People are more struggling onto the recovery basis. Let's say whether we talk about the US economy, whether we talk about the UK economy, whether we talk about the European region, or even our own economy, which is not in a recessionary state, but is trying to get down to the same growth levels. So here, gold is again going to be a means of investment, which is a safer investment, and not for any other purposes. If people make other investment, then it will be for speculative purposes.
Internationally, the price of gold is hovering around, say, $16, $62, $65 per ounce. The speculation in the West is that it will go up to around 1680 or so, and then maybe start coming down. What do you think is going to happen? Because what happens there is going to have a direct bearing on gold prices in our country.
I would beg to differ a little bit over here, because when we talk about demand internationally, the demand for gold internationally usually comes from the central banks. There is a very little demand on the consumer end, except for the Asian economies where gold is consumed. Not only our economy, which is India, but let's say Pakistan, Sri Lanka, or let's say Thailand and other regions. There is a certain amount of gold demanded for other specific reasons. Now, internationally, leaving these regions, there is no reason to believe why gold should increase unless the currencies fall out or there is certain other crisis which might come. There would be a slight increase because there is a certain amount of inflation which is prevailing in most markets, and because to meet out or to overcome inflationary difficulties, people invest in gold, because inflationary trends, physical assets like real assets and gold becomes an important places to invest.
So, for Indian, if we were to invest in gold, first, which is the best way to invest? Should you invest in ornaments? Should you invest in biscuits? Should you invest in coins? What should you buy?
I would suggest that one needs to first identify one's need. If they have a need to make investment in gold, then it would be best to make an investment in gold. Purchases in gold may be made in small items, and they may be made in the things that they may require. People who have extra money or who have surplus money with them, investments whether made in the bullion market or in the jewelry market would not make a difference to them. But people who have lesser money, it would be best only to make investments where they need it. So the best would be if they need a jewelry, then it would be jewelry.
And in terms of trying to create an asset for your family, currently gold is an attractive asset. What is the best way to go about it? Should they invest in trading? Should they invest in gold traded shares? Should they invest in gold in the physical form? What should they do?
The best form of making an investment in gold would be direct investment, because that would yield more results. Investing into other options may not be very appropriate.
So, what is the taxation pattern for gold? If you are buying gold, above what level will you be taxed? How do you account for it? How do you deal with it in your tax returns?
Right now, there is no such taxation because the government has withdrawn the taxation part as of now. So, there is no difficulties with respect to that.
And in the circumstances that you are asked by the taxman to explain how you bought gold,
that is only for the cash considerations where it has been kept that it is between the 2 lakhs till the 4 lakhs rupees. If you're purchasing within a specified amount, then you're supposed to make the transparency details available to them. And even that is also not for a specified period of time.
The conclusion is that what we are coming up with is that gold is a highly attractive investment. It does not require too much tax explanation, that it is almost certainly going to appreciate, that it is moderately liquid, and that although it may not appear to be a particularly good investment in the sense of returns, it is still a very steady, slowly appreciating asset.
It is a good appreciating asset, but it is still unproductive for the economy and for the consumers.
If you were to list the assets where investments should be made by families, by people like you and me, in descending order, what would you say? Which is the most attractive and which is the least attractive?
So it would be difficult to say for any specific family which would be the most attractive and the least attractive. I would always suggest that whenever a person is making an investment, he needs to outline his medium-term and long-term plans. And based upon his medium and long-term plans, he should make those investments. If he needs a particular asset in the next 5 years, he should start making an investment in those assets. So if you have something culturally coming up or a requirement for something coming up, then you make investment into gold. If you're looking in for surpluses to be generated and you're finishing all your surpluses, it would not be a right option to make investment in gold.
But the conclusion is that although it's highly appreciating and a very safe investment, it is good to have some investment in gold.
Every family in the Indian household, right from the beginning, makes some amount of investment in gold right at the time when the child is born. So whether it's a boy child or whether it's a girl child, all of us have a certain investment. Besides that, even if we don't have an investment, we have our forefathers giving a certain amount of gifts in the same form.
Thank you very much.
You were listening to a discussion on high gold price. The participants were Professor Yamini Agarwal, Indian Institute of Finance, and Aditi Phandis, economic journalist. It came to you in the program News Analysis, produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. This program is also available on our website, newsonair.nic.in. You may email your opinion about this program at talksenst@air.org.in.